high magic problems to solve.
Okay, so I have to say something real quick. Gotta say this. In the situation where you're running a high magic game, and the little girl gets sick, and the players have the spell slot, don't do this. Don't make the anti-magic disease. Don't do it. It sucks. It will just breed resentment in your players because it feels like, why the fuck am I this powerful if I can't cure this child of like the walking pox? You know what I mean? Don't do that. Like, I've seen it be done 3 separate times in 3 separate games and with 3 separate miserable failures. It sucks. No one wants to do it. Your players don't care. If there's like a huge, like, if you want, right, the way that I've sort of thought about doing like the super crazy mega disease is just like, you need a population size big enough, right? If there's 50 people in a village, you can just put 50 people on one side of the village for a week and feed them in a hospital, and then every day, you got 10 spell slots for from Lesser Restoration, you're good.
Yeah.
What you need is a high population size, and you need a disease that spreads super quickly, or like maybe the food's contaminated, like they just keep getting reinfected, right? Like if your population gets food poisoning every single day because they're eating bad chicken nuggies, like,
yeah, there's not enough magic to keep up.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have to make it unsustainable that you're and like, maybe we treat this, we're gonna treat it a little bit like 40K, right? What if there's like a crazy plague and you're being attacked by zombies at the same time, right? You're never
that's a high fantasy problem.
Yeah, that is a high fantasy problem. There are ways around it. You might not like it. Like if you don't like, building combat for 5e, you're sort of stuck because you assumed that the magic disease was going to be a sort of puzzle style problem or a roleplay problem. It's not entirely. Just don't do it. Just don't do it. I promise you, your players, they won't thank you because they didn't know it was a problem in the first place. But if they did, they would thank you.
Yeah, right.
Just let them know. Just be like, hey guys, I want you to know I was going to do a crazy magic plague that you couldn't fix with magic. I decided against it. And your players will almost definitely go, oh, thank you for that, because that would have sucked. And then you'll feel good on the inside.
It's funny because I was literally just about to ask you, is there a way you, because like as soon as you said that, I was about to challenge you and be like, all right, so is there a way you could do it well? And you basically you answered that question. However, just to drill it down a little bit more, just because I'm curious, is there a way you could do it where it's like small population, one little magic disease you can't fit? Is there a way to say no, you can't fix it with spells that isn't annoying? Is there a way you could do the tiny village, one girl has this one weird problem thing?
Do you want? I have an idea.
Thought, yeah,
magic suppresses the effects of the disease, but it does not fix the disease.
Okay, so you're still helping the situation in some way.
You are helping the situation, but it's not instead of it being like a magic disease. Button. Exactly. Like your players are too low of let's say it's a greater restoration needed for the curse spell, whatever. You have lesser restoration. Lesser restoration helps lessen the symptoms, extends, however long they'll survive, whatever. But it doesn't fix the problem outright because you as a player are not your magic isn't good enough. You need something else. Like it could even be like a ritual with many people, but you don't have the people. You need to go and get the people. Like even if it's just like a small, slight tweak to that, because I don't particularly like magic disease unless the disease is not even magic. It's actually for instance, like a slod.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the slot is the ultimate way, right? It's it's not a disease, it's a parasite. Because it's not magically based, it doesn't count as the specific conditions, so the thing that cures the specific conditions doesn't work. That I think is perfect. Because I've done one of the ones in question was oh yeah, you can suppress it. And then the question is well, if I can't, I think we had access to 6 level spells, and we were if I cast Greater Resto on this 6-year-old girl, who's got, hypergonosyphilades. Like, are you really telling me it's not going to work? And then for the GM to look at you with a straight face and be like, nope. And you're like, but this burns a material. And they're like, yep. And you just sit there doing that thing where you awkwardly blink at them,
Yeah, it's just rude.
White guy blink.
Yeah, it's such a pain in the balls. Like, I'm sure there are people smarter than I who fixed it, who could figure it out. But it just sucks so bad. Like,
yeah,
I got so bad at one point, my character was like, I'm 2 seconds from lighting Molotovs and burning the village down. This is just not worth my time anymore. Chaotic good, return that shit to lawful evil. Like,
yeah. I think, Sam, you definitely were, I think we're on the right track there. Cause I was kind of thinking, you can fix it with like your magic or whatever, but like it's going to take time or there's a challenge. So like, for example, you can remove the curse, but you're going to have to cast the spell remove curse like 4 times, for example. Yeah. And every time you do it, maybe there's like a test or something. So there's a chance of failure. And then naturally the players are going to go, is there something we could do to, better our chances, like, weight the odds in our favor? Oh, yes, you can go get this magic flower that grows nearby. That'll give you advantage on the roll, blah, 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 that kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I would be okay with the checks. Like, I'd be a little annoyed at the start, but like...
Well, that's the thing about the checks method is then when the players offer up like ways to solve it that are not just the auto win button, then you immediately lean into those suggestions that they give you, right?
Oh yeah, of course.
And then as a player, you feel big brain.
You do, yeah. So like what I was gonna say is like initially I'd be a little mad, or I'd be annoyed at the very least, but then give me like an hour or however long, and I'll like. It's pretty easy to see that when a GM does that, they're actively trying to find a middle ground with you. And at some point, you just got to level with the GM and be like, all right, I understand. I get it. I'm playing along. I'm not going to be an asshole,
Yeah, and usually when you're doing something like that, from the GM side of the screen, what you're trying to do is set up a challenge or a thing or something interesting, but you don't want to say what you're trying to set up straight up outright to the players, because that sort of kills some of the like verisimilitude. So yeah, it's like usually there's a reason, but yeah, if you're just doing it because you just really are like, fuck Greater Resto, bro, like that's not the right way to come at it at all.